It was 5:30 in the morning, and I was still at my desk. All the features were added to the code, and the demo worked perfectly. It was an important day for us. Funders from the National Institute of Health were flying all the way from Maryland, and they will decide whether they will give us funding by looking at this demo. The only thing left was a video as a backup. I moved my hand over the mouse, and suddenly there was a screeching pain in my back and my hand. It was as if my whole body revolted from inside. It just said, "Stop, Shefali, just stop now." And tears started to roll down my eyes. I tried to get a tissue to wipe my face. Below the tissue holder, I noticed a white envelope. I looked at it and I started to cry even more. It was a raise letter I received just the day before for my excellent performance in the last year. Then my eyes fell on the time. I quickly wiped my tears and rushed to work. A few weeks later, I accompanied my friend to a yoga class. While my friend was trying to remember all the sequence of the Surya Namaskar, my eyes were glued to the teacher. I was intrigued by the way that she was sitting. Her spine was erect, calm and composed. She sat like that for 3 long hours. I wondered if I would ever be able to sit like that. And I thought that all our lives we are taught how to get the perfect career, how to get fulfilling relationships. But no one really teaches us how to sit. This subtle and sophisticated mechanism that we call the body, no one really teaches us how to hold it in the perfect way. The proportions and symmetry of the human body have intrigued artists and scientists for centuries. We're all familiar with this famous drawing by the polymath Leonardo da Vinci, which represents the perfect human body proportions. I still remember when I was in 2nd grade and my friend came running to me and she said, "Do you know that if you stretch your arms like this and measure that, it's the same as your height? And that the distance from your elbow to the end of the finger is the same as your shoulders. And the length of your palms, same as your face." I didn't believe that. I went back home, I took out like a measuring tape and I took all the measurements. And it was in fact true. As we look more and more in the mechanism and the proportions of the human body, we find that there's perfect geometry and symmetry. The health of the human body depends on this symmetry. But with the long hours in front of the computer and with our very sedentary lifestyles, we have stopped paying attention to this symmetry. In the Yogic Physiology, just like there's a physical body, in yoga they say there's an energy body. And this consists of 72,000 nadis. So if you cut open the body, you will not find the nadis. They are not nerves, but simply the way in which energy flows through the system. This flow of energy, or the flow of prana, is responsible for rejuvenating and giving energy to our physical body. In fact, if prana stops to flow in a particular part of our body, it becomes almost dead. And this is what happens in disorders like gangrene, where prana stops to flow in that part of the body and becomes dead and we have to amputate it. In fact, the whole science of yogic postures is to make the prana flow in a particular direction that will lead to higher levels of consciousness. If you look at our psychology, just by the way that someone is sitting, you can tell what is going on in their psychology. For example, when you have a fight with a friend or your mother, and you leave the house, and when you come back, just by the way that they are sitting, you can tell if they are still angry with you. And in the anatomy, the spine is the backbone on which our body hangs. Our neurosensory system flows through the spine. Our experience of pleasure and pain and our experience of hot and cold are connected to the spine. The spine relays messages from the brain to every single critical organ in our body. The posture does not just affect our musculoskeletal system, our bones and joints, but it affects our function of the brain. It affects our eyesight. Bad posture can lead to headaches. It can lead to bad vision. It can lead to our lungs not pumping enough oxygen. The oxygen that is pumped, that goes to every single cell in our body. And next time we feel low in energy and we're not getting enough oxygen, we can know that this is because of our posture. Now we'll do a little experiment. I want you all to sit. Sit with your palms facing down on your lap. Imagine your body in 3 parts. First, the legs. Make sure that your feet are flat on the ground and that your legs are parallel to the ground. Make sure that your weight is balanced on both sides and there's no tension. And now we look at the torso. Make sure that your spine is erect and you're not slouching and your shoulders are not tense. Shoulders should be relaxed. Sit with your eyes closed. Make sure that your head does not come forward and that your ears are aligned with your arms. Sit like that, relaxed. Take deep breaths. Slowly open your eyes. Now we will add to this experiment. So right now you're sitting with your palms facing down. And you will, when you breathe, you notice where the expansion and contraction takes place. And then when I say switch, you turn your hand to face upwards. And again you notice where the expansion and contraction takes place. Let's do it together. So I want you to sit with your palms facing down. Sit with your spine erect. Now breathe slowly and notice where the expansion and contraction happens. Switch. Now your palms should be facing up. Again, breathe slowly. Notice where the expansion contraction is. Again, switch. You can slowly open your eyes. So you will notice when your palms are facing down, the expansion and contraction happens in the lower lobe of the lungs, around your diaphragm area. And when your palms are facing up, it happens, the expansion contraction is in the middle lobe of your lungs, around your chest area. Just by changing the position of your hand, your whole breathing is altered. So imagine when you take a different posture throughout the day, what happens to your breathing? When I saw the teacher in the yoga class many years back, it inspired me to become a Hatha Yoga teacher. And after hours and years of practice, I realized that posture is as important to our well-being as nutrition for the body and meditation for our mind. It affects not just the health of the body, but it affects our psychology and our consciousness. Next time when you feel low in energy, just ask yourself, did you allow your body to take in more oxygen? Did you allow prana to flow through your body? Did you sit up straight that day? People think that poor posture will just lead to backaches. Yes, it does affect your musculoskeletal system, but it's a lot more than that. It can lead to headaches, migraines, poor vision, even slowed metabolism, because your organs are not held with clamps and bolts. They are held by muscles, ligaments. They're a little bit floating around in your body. And the minute that you slouch and sit, it squishes your organs and affects their efficiency. Even your breathing is altered. When people have spinal cord injuries, the first thing that the doctors try to save is the breathing and the lungs. So just by being in a bad posture would mean that you take in less oxygen to every cell in your body. Some of the things you can incorporate immediately is first to avoid the forward head posture. That means your ears should be aligned with your shoulders. And for every inch forward that your head moves, it puts an extra 10 pounds on your spine. And over time, this leads to deteriorating of your spine. The other thing you can do, if you're sitting in a wrong posture for hours, it's like smoking many cigarettes in a day. Not because sitting is harmful. It's because if you sit with the wrong posture, your lungs do not take enough oxygen. And with less oxygen, it's almost like smoking a cigarette. So when you're sitting for long hours, you can set reminders and alerts that remind you to correct your posture, or maybe get up and take a little walk. And if you're not able to get up, maybe you're in an airplane or something, you can move your joints. You can move your wrists, your shoulders, your ankles. In yoga, they say that the joints, they are considered like storehouses of energy, because the chakras are located in our joints. Chakras is where the energy body meets. So including these simple habits in your everyday life, becoming aware of your posture, will improve your health significantly.